The final was supposed to be the story. The silver trophy waiting under the Birmingham sun. The immaculate grass of centre court. The chants of Laban, echoing through Edgbaston Priory Club as Alex Eala prepared to play the biggest grass court final of her life. That was supposed to be the headline. Instead, hours before the championship match even began, chaos erupted outside the gates. And by the time the afternoon was over, the Birmingham Open was no longer being remembered only as a tennis tournament. It became the tournament where a Filipina star stood between her fans and the system that had failed them. Birmingham, England. June 7, 2026. 11:08 a.m. The first signs of trouble appeared quietly. A few confused fans standing near the main entrance checking tickets repeatedly. Families asking security guards questions. Groups of Filipino supporters refreshing email confirmations on their phones while glancing nervously toward locked gates. At first, most people assumed it was temporary. A delay. A misunderstanding. Nothing more. After all, this was the championship final. How could fans with valid tickets possibly be denied entry? Especially after many had traveled extraordinary distances just to be there. But as minutes passed, the mood outside Edgbaston Priory Club began changing rapidly. Confusion became frustration. Frustration slowly became panic. And somewhere beneath the growing tension sat a devastating emotional truth. Hundreds of Filipino fans suddenly realized they might miss the biggest match of Alex Eala's career. Some had traveled overnight from Scotland. Others had flown internationally from Dubai, Singapore, and Manila specifically for Birmingham Week. Several overseas Filipino workers had spent months saving money for this moment. Parents brought children carrying handmade signs. Grandparents wore Philippine flags around their shoulders despite the cold English morning air. One family from Liverpool arrived at sunrise because their daughter wanted to see Alex become champion. Another fan later revealed online that she had used nearly all her vacation days from work simply to attend the final. For these supporters, this was not ordinary sports entertainment. This was history, identity, pride, community. And now security guards stood in front of locked gates repeating the same sentence over and over again. The venue has reached capacity. The words hit like a physical blow. What do you mean capacity? One fan demanded emotionally. We already have tickets. Security offered vague explanations. Overcrowding. Operational concerns. Safety procedures. But nobody outside the gates cared about corporate language anymore. Not when children were beginning to cry. Not when families who spent thousands of pounds sat helplessly on pavement outside the tournament grounds. Not when supporters who crossed oceans suddenly realized they might never even see the final. And what made the situation even worse? This had already happened earlier in the week. During Eala's second-round match, many Filipino fans were similarly locked out due to crowd management failures. At the time, tournament officials promised improvements, promised adjustments, promised solutions. Now the same disaster was happening again. Only bigger. Much bigger. Because this time it was the championship match. By noon, videos from outside Edgbaston Priory Club had already started spreading online. Filipino children crying beside barriers. Parents arguing desperately with security staff. Fans waving tickets helplessly toward cameras while explaining they still could not enter. The hashtag #LetUsInBirmingham began trending almost immediately across Philippine social media. And somewhere inside the players' lounge, Alex Eala still had no idea any of this was happening. Inside the stadium, the atmosphere remained almost peaceful. Ground staff prepared center court carefully beneath clear skies. Commentators rehearsed opening segments. The trophy gleamed beneath bright June sunlight waiting beside the court. Everything looked perfect. That contrast made the reality outside even more heartbreaking. Because only meters away from the beauty and celebration of a championship final, hundreds of devastated fans sat stranded behind barriers. One elderly Filipina grandmother from Manila wiped tears from her face while speaking to a local reporter. "I came because I wanted to see history before I die," she whispered emotionally. "I thought today would be one of the happiest days of my life." Nearby, a young boy wearing an Eala shirt stared silently through the gates, clutching a handmade sign that read, "Laban ate Alex." His father later admitted the child stopped speaking entirely after security denied them entry. "He thought maybe he did something wrong," the father said. "That's what broke me." And then, at approximately 12:27 p.m, everything changed. Inside the players' lounge, Eala sat reviewing match strategy calmly with her coach. The semi-final victory over Rebecca Mazarova still lingered emotionally in her body. Physio tape wrapped around her shoulder. Rackets lined neatly beside her chair. Focus narrowing toward the final. Then her manager's phone vibrated. The expression on her face changed instantly. Color drained. Eyes widening slightly. Eala noticed immediately. "What happened?" she asked. At first the manager hesitated. Because how do you explain something like this to an athlete preparing for the biggest final of her grass court career? How do you tell her hundreds of her supporters are stranded outside the gates crying? Eventually she leaned closer and whispered the situation quietly. The reaction was immediate. Witnesses later described Eala's entire expression transforming within seconds. The calm disappeared. Not replaced by panic. By anger. Controlled anger. "How many fans?" she asked sharply. The manager admitted tournament officials did not yet know exact numbers. Dozens at minimum. Possibly hundreds. Many holding valid tickets. Silence. Then Eala stood up immediately. Her coach attempted gently to redirect focus toward the upcoming match. "Alex, we still need to finish preparation. I need to see them." The room froze. "Alex, the final starts soon." "I said I need to see them." No yelling. No dramatic outburst. But her voice carried absolute certainty now. And within moments, Alex Eala walked out of the players' lounge, heading directly toward the public entrance area. Tournament officials tried intercepting her in the hallway. "Miss Eala, security advises against." "I don't care what security advises," she interrupted calmly. "My fans came here for me." Nobody stopped her after that. Outside the gates, the atmosphere had become emotionally devastating. Some families already started walking away toward train stations defeated. Children sat on the pavement exhausted from waiting. Fans recorded frustrated messages online demanding accountability from tournament organizers. Then suddenly someone screamed, "Alex!" The reaction spread instantly like electricity. Heads turned. Flags lifted again. And there she was. Alex Eala herself walking toward the barriers, still wearing warm-up gear. No trophy, no cameras arranged professionally. No public relations set up. Just a young Filipino tennis player visibly furious that her supporters were being denied entry to her final. The crowd erupted emotionally. Some fans cried immediately simply because she came out to face them personally. That mattered. Because most athletes never would have left the locker room. Most would have focused entirely on preparation. The final. The pressure. The title opportunity. But Alex Eala walked directly toward the problem instead. Toward her people. Toward the disappointment. Toward the anger. And that decision changed everything emotionally. When she reached the barrier, the crowd gradually quieted. Not because security asked them to. Because they wanted to hear her. Eala scanned the faces carefully. Children. Families. Elderly supporters. People carrying Philippine flags that never made it inside the stadium. And suddenly her eyes filled with visible emotion too. "I'm so sorry," she said softly. The crowd broke immediately. Tears everywhere again. Because deep down, every supporter standing there understood something important in that moment. She genuinely cared. Not performatively. Not politically. Personally. One little girl standing near the front holding a sign reading, "Alex, you make US proud," started crying uncontrollably. Eala reached through the barrier as far as possible toward her. "Laban," she whispered gently. The child whispered back through tears, "Laban." Even several security guards later admitted that moment nearly broke them emotionally. But Alex Eala was still not finished. Then came the speech. The moment the entire tournament changed permanently. Eala stepped closer toward the barriers and raised her hand slightly. The crowd fell silent instantly. "I need everyone to listen to me," she began. Her voice remained calm, but beneath the calm sat unmistakable anger now. "I know what happened today." Fans listened motionless. "I know many of you were turned away even though you bought tickets." More silence. "And I want you to know something clearly." She paused. "I am furious." The crowd erupted emotionally. Some cheering. Some crying harder. Some simply staring in disbelief that she was publicly confronting tournament failures before the biggest match of her career. "This tournament has failed you," Eala continued firmly. "Not once. Twice." She pointed toward the locked gates behind security staff. "And I will not stand for it." That sentence exploded online within minutes. Because suddenly Alex Eala was no longer acting only like a tennis player. She sounded like an advocate. A representative. Someone willing to challenge organizers publicly for mistreating her supporters. Tournament officials nearby looked visibly uncomfortable. Security supervisors exchanged nervous glances. Yet Eala kept going. "I'm going to play this final today," she said. "And I'm going to fight for every single point." She looked directly toward the fans locked outside. "But whether you are inside that stadium or standing here on this pavement," her voice cracked slightly, "you are with me." At that point, people openly sobbed throughout the crowd. One father later described his daughter collapsing emotionally into his arms after hearing those words. Because suddenly the pain of missing the final transformed into something else. Recognition. Belonging. Connection. Then came the line that guaranteed the Birmingham Open would never escape this controversy quietly. After this tournament, Eala declared firmly, "I will demand answers. I will demand accountability. And I will make sure this never happens to Filipino fans again." The crowd exploded completely. Flags waving wildly. People chanting Laban. Some fans fell to their knees crying. Inside the stadium, spectators already seated on center court had no idea history was unfolding outside the gates. Because this moment transcended tennis entirely now. This became about representation, respect, dignity, and perhaps most importantly, loyalty. Alex Eala had every reason to protect herself emotionally before the final. Instead, she chose confrontation. She chose her supporters. That choice altered how many people viewed her permanently afterward. Social media clips spread globally within an hour. News outlets picked up the story immediately. Former players praised her courage publicly. Even neutral tennis fans admitted they had never seen anything quite like it before. An athlete about to play the biggest final of her season leaving warm-ups to confront organizers over fan treatment. Almost unheard of. Yet somehow entirely believable for Alex Eala. Because throughout Birmingham week she repeatedly demonstrated something increasingly rare in modern sports. She never treated supporters like background noise. She treated them like family. And perhaps the most emotionally devastating image from the entire controversy came moments before Eala returned inside. A young Filipino boy standing near the barrier asked tearfully whether she could still hear them cheering if they remained outside during the match. Eala looked at him carefully, then smiled softly. "I always hear you." The boy immediately started crying again. So did his parents. So did half the people nearby. Hours later, when Alex Eala finally walked onto center court for the championship final, the atmosphere inside the stadium felt electric. Philippine flags waved everywhere. The chants thundered constantly. But outside the gates, hundreds more supporters still remained listening from beyond. Barriers, watching score updates on phones, cheering every point they could not physically see. And somehow that made the emotional atmosphere surrounding the final even larger. Because now Eala carried more than pressure, more than expectations. She carried outrage, responsibility. The voices of supporters denied access to the moment they sacrificed everything to witness. The match itself would eventually produce headlines. The trophy ceremony would become iconic. But deep down, everybody understood the real emotional story of Birmingham had already happened hours earlier outside the gates. A champion stood beside her people publicly when abandoning them would have been easier. And that matters. It matters because sports are full of carefully managed public images now. Polished statements, safe answers, controlled branding. But Alex Eala standing outside those gates looking furious beside crying Filipino fans? That felt real. Painfully real. And long after Birmingham ended, that image remained burned into people's memories more powerfully than almost any forehand winner or trophy photograph. A Filipina star refusing to walk away while her supporters suffered behind barriers. Laban always. Even outside the lines of the court.